I'm Sam from Hedgedale Farms, and after a long awaiting for a video, we finally have the stacking shed video. We're looking out of the barn where the steers are kept right now, and the second story in the straw shed, looking out into the pasture. You see a lot of trees, mud, and grass as it is a pasture, but you also see some manure piles and some other things as we're looking out. And here's a closer look. You can see the window where we were looking out of, and this area was actually once cleared for building a barn, but we built it someplace else. So some trees grew up again, and there's a couple bales left. We had a bunch stacked there. And this has been the pasture for as long as I was ever alive and can remember. As you can see over here, we have 2 piles of manure, and I'll show you later, but it kind of flows down to the right. And if it would rain, the conservation people say that will flow right into our creek. There's where it's going to be, so it is going to be around the same place, but there's going to be walls on it, so that manure cannot flow and move. And see, we live in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and the Susquehanna River is right near us. We have a creek right below the farm, actually, that the manure can flow right into, apparently, and into the Susquehanna, into the Chesapeake Bay, and kill the thing, because all the fish in there, because that's a big project. So what they're concerned about here is this is our main manure pile. It's just sitting on dirt, which actually can be pretty messy. The last time the manure was spread, some stones got flying, and it wasn't very good. But there's also like a puddle of water back here because it's so uneven. So this stacking shed will really make a big difference to the better. So on day 1, we have a New Holland track skid loader with a dirt bucket on and some brackets that came. They also made this nice little lane here so that we won't have as much of a mud problem, and mainly so the builders could get their trucks and equipment in without getting all muddy and stuck. This is filmed in late winter, so you actually see it snowing a little bit in one of the videos, but it was built into spring and summer, and it will be published in late summer, this video. So right here they dug the footer, and I just did a walk around. We have a lot of limestone around here, so they hit some of that right below the barn, and they weren't moving it, that's for sure. Down in that corner, they just poured the concrete right on top. So I thought this was pretty impressive here because, like I said, it's been a pasture for all my life, and then one day I get home and all of a sudden there's a big ditch in it, is basically what's going on here. And it's a nice width. This is basically the foundation, and it's about a couple feet deep. There's some more rocks and dirt piles. This big pile is what I like to stand on each day and look over. So this is the progress made in day 1. Obviously, we didn't have this the first day, so I couldn't do this. But now we're on day 2. Now what I would like to say is they didn't build the whole thing in like 10 days or whatever, but they took breaks now and then, so you come back. Here's a big pile of rock, and that's what they could break off from what I'd understand. And there's a couple cement trucks in that poured the footer, and you can see the cement was poured right up to that rock there. And these are the angle iron going around. And we'll just take a spin around. Just kind of look at it. It's not even, but it doesn't have to be. They will pour the wall right on top then. So, to give you a little bit more information... Oh, right there's the creek. That's where the water... all the runoff goes. So this is day 2 finished. To give you a little bit more information on a stacking shed, it's mainly for manure. So I've been calling it a stacking shed. It's kind of like a manure shed. So when we clean out the steers, it'll go in there, and then a nice place to store. We're on day 3 now, coming in the lane, and to see the progress that was made. Right up here, they poured the walls, actually. So we have some of these big metal brackets going along that they set up, and there's a bunch of cement trucks again that filled all the concrete in, and in a second I will jump up there to see inside. So this is basically the perimeter of the stacking shed. These cement walls, they'll actually fill it in, so they won't actually be quite as high, but you also won't see these middle brackets because they'll obviously take them down. And right there you can see all the cement. So this is day 3 of the progress made of the stacking shed. What another thing that the stacking shed does is this one was made to hold 20 to 30 steers worth of manure, and that's hauling out like once, twice every year. So that will be plenty for us. This is day 4. There's a couple people still left here packing up the brackets that we said hi to, and the farm wasn't really designed back in the 1800s for these big trucks, so it was a little tight, and things have been massively changed since then, so it's not quite like it was then, but all these trees definitely weren't put there for all this big equipment. And we got out of that little fence pretty nicely and drove away. So like I said, 20 to 30 steers worth of manure goes in there, and the sides prevent it from flowing in, running off. It's one of the conservation people's regulations. They're the ones who want to build these things, and they'll give you grants and build waterways and help the land. Sometimes it does seem pretty silly though. So here's the walls, nice cement. It's nice and smooth. This is day 4 progress. So now we're on day 5. All that happened today was they just put some stone in. They kind of made a nice little area out front too, and you can see they backfilled along the wall as well. I didn't really go to the back much because the back looks exactly the same as the side. So now it's about 5 foot high. The wall's about as high as my head, and right there are some trucks, cement trucks, before I left for school, so I didn't have time to go out, but I turned on the GoPro from our yard. So this is day 6 now. They poured the cement inside and out. That pad is for steering around, like you'll drive in, dump your manure, and then you want to come out. They also drawed a expansion joint, as my dad pointed out, in the middle. And my uncle thought it was a good idea to write the date 4/18 in the cement, so we knew it when it was built. So that's the New Holland skid loader and the Kubota track hoe. I don't know if I pointed those out, but they also brought a JCB and a one of those people lifters, so that was kind of cool. We're at day 7, I think, now. Sorry if I got it messed up, but it's not that big of a deal. So right there, they started building up the walls, and you can see that top post in the back, the middle one, that's about as high as it'll be, and it's actually a pretty high building. So they did tear up part of the pasture here, but I mean, well, what can you do? So that's about how that goes. And we're on day 8. Day 8, you can see that with all the driving in and out, the lane's kind of packed down, but they put up all the trusses and the brackets, and when those brackets were to hold the posts to the cement, I later found out they parked their equipment in there, even though it's not going to really work because there's no roof, but they used up some of that dirt pile, and you can kind of see a pipe sticking out of the ground out from the stacking shed. They have 2 of those. They're actually drainage, so all the water that runs off will go in a couple foot deep pit filled with stones, and they actually covered it up with dirt, and people were kind of wondering how that works, but it's how they did it. So day 9, they put the siding and the roof on. It's not completely done. There's still a piece in the back that needs done, as well as the middle. This big thing here is for they were working on the barn roof. Stay tuned for a barn improvements video. It will be in there, and you can kind of see a crack up through, but it's kind of impressive with their equipment here. It's fun to get in and look around, as we will in a second here, but here's the JCB, all the levers and stuff. So this is the last guy who's leaving, and he was actually working on the barn too, but I think he was there at the stacking shed before. So that's the last truck with the stacking shed, and now it's pretty much done. So I have a couple little clips of it being finished here. and it's really nice. We put some fodder bales in, my grandpa did, and the skid loader and the manure. There's also, it's hard to look up there, but they put a netting up there so the birds can't fly in. The only thing is, if you reach too high with the skid loader, it rips, and then the birds will get in and die. But so this is a couple months after it's been finished. They have a nice rain spout. The weeds are grown up around it too. But I'll be quiet now. This is about it for the stacking shed. It's a big improvement and change to our farm, and I thought I would share it with the internet. So I'm Sam, and this is Hedgedale Farms. Thanks for stopping by, and make sure to like and subscribe. Paul, I hope you enjoyed too, as you were able to see some of the first days of progress, and just thank you so much for all you do.